Hey you guys, so I have the little kids out doing rest time in the living room, and I popped in here to clean up our schoolroom. And as you can see, it's a crazy mess behind me. I have not been in here to clean or organize in a couple weeks. So while I'm in here cleaning, I'm going to give you guys a little tour of our schoolroom, and then also talk about what curriculum we use and how we use it and how we organize it for the week. And then also how I organize it for longer term storage. So I hope to see you guys in a little bit. Hey everybody, so the other day after I cleaned our homeschool room, I did not make it back in here to show you the curriculum that we use. So that's just life, but we're gonna do it now. We're gonna get it done. So I'm gonna take you around and show you what we use for our homeschool and how we store it and how we utilize it during the week. So let's go. All right, in this first cubby, this is a big, I think it's called an Expedit organizer from IKEA, and it's a 5x5. So in the first cubby here, I have Colin, my 7th grader, all of his work. And this year he is doing learning language arts through literature, which is going okay. This has spelling kind of incorporated throughout. You know, we've just started. This is kind of how far we are. And this is my first year teaching this, so the jury's still out on that. I still don't know. He is in pre-algebra, Matthew C, and I love Matthew C. We started using this when we started homeschooling, when Colin was in 1st grade, and I absolutely love Matthew C. I intend to use this for all the kids, for all the grades. It's really great for me because I'm not a super math person. So this comes with a DVD that has kind of a tutor on it, and it explains the lesson to them, and then you have the student pages, the test book, and the instruction manual. So it's very easy to teach. It's basically open and go. And what I have the kids do is, instead of printing off the student pages or just ripping them out, I have them, they each have a folder, just like a little a spiral notebook. So they each get one of these that's for math specifically, and they just copy their, like the problems, they'll copy it in their notebook and then solve it in the notebook, and then we grade it after they're completed. So that's how we do math. And then this year for writing, we're doing Institute for Excellence in Writing, and I really love it so far. Here is kind of the folder. I only got one of these, and I just make copies of the student pages, and this is Colin's. So his is sad and not fancy at all, but it totally works. So yeah, this also comes with an instructor DVD. So the instructor is teaching your students, and you're kind of there just to, just more like to facilitate, to lead, and answer any questions that come up. I really like this. So far, this is the first year we've done this as well, and they have themed writing units, or more like a year that's themed. So if, like, we do the story of the world for history most of the time, and they have little writing, I don't even know what to call them, just instead of doing like this student writing intensive, the whole thing will be kind of centered around maybe what you're learning in history that year. So I think maybe we'll try that next year. But this is where they suggested that we start, since it's our first year, and we are really liking it. I'm very pleased with the boys' progress in their writing. Okay, then Aiden has his Epsilon Matthew C. Oh, Aiden is in 4th grade this year. So this is kind of his little cubby. He's got his learning language arts through literature. And for him, this is not really a super win. It's okay, but it does have these little book study units kind of broken down throughout the book. And he is not a huge reader, so right now that's more of a struggle to get him to read his book. You know, he'd rather just pick up something that interests him rather than having to read. These are some of the books that he's going to have to read this year. Did I say 4th? Oh my God, he's in 5th grade. So, whatever. That's real life happening right there. I don't even know what grades my kids are in sometimes. Anyway, so yeah, so we'll see how he ends up liking this. For me, it's very easy to teach. The boys are very independent in this, so I just let them work through it. If they have questions, I answer that, and then I go over their completed work with them, ideally at the end of the week, but sometimes it ends up being 2 or 3 weeks before we go through it together. That's just how that works out. And then in Aiden, in 5th grade, he still does handwriting, so he's still doing cursive, and we use a reason for handwriting, which I really love because we do school 4 days a week, and this is broken into a 4-day school week. And each day, they just take a little blurb of a scripture, and they write it down, and then on day 4, they copy that onto just a blank border sheet. So on Friday, which is our day 4, Aiden would just take the scripture, write it on his border sheet, and then they can color it or decorate it. But like in 5th grade, he's kind of over that. So, oh, and then each of the kids have one of these little clipboards that I just got from the dollar store. And that's just for them to put whatever kind of paper stuff they have, like handwriting, so that can go with us wherever we do school, whether that's in the schoolroom, which is about 20% of the time, and the rest of the time it's usually at the kitchen counter, at the kitchen table. You know how it goes. Okay, and then this is really kind of like where Shaylin's work congregates. She's in 2nd grade, and then where 1st grade / kindergarten work goes. But this is really just for me to pull out the books that I need to make copies of, or for them to work through. So it has most of my teacher's manuals, or like I do print off Shaylin's math for her. And then she has not really gotten into first language lessons or writing with ease, which is what I like to use for language up until 4th grade. I really like the well-trained mind stuff. And I really wish they had something for 5th through 8th grade, but they do not. If you know of something like this for 5th through 8th grade, please let me know, because this is my favorite program so far. So anyway, we've had a lot of struggles with Shaylin with reading, so we are only focusing on reading, a little bit of spelling, and then math with her right now. And hopefully later this year we'll get into more of this stuff. And then for Grayson, he's in kindergarten this year. So we tried all about reading, the pre-reading level, and it was way too basic for him, way too easy. So we just blew right through that. And now he's going to move into all about spelling, because this is what I had been using until all about reading came out. And I have levels 1, 2, and 3 all about spelling, which is why I did not move him from all about spelling. Hold on, sweetie. From the all about reading pre-level, I didn't go up to the next level in this because I already have all these sitting on my shelf, and I just thought, I know how to teach this. I'm super familiar with it, and I have it, so I'm just gonna go into that. So that's what we're doing right now for him, and then he's doing the primer math. You see, also very, very basic. He may need to bump up to 1st grade math. And then we do Bob books, which I don't know where those ended up. Oh, they're down here. So both he and Shaylin kind of pick out Bob books just to read and work through. And I have found on Pinterest a bunch of little worksheets that go with this. So if you have those kids who like seat work and they kind of like to do worksheets, there's some really fun activities to go along with those. Back to this. This is just my all about spelling stuff. I found it easier to have a set of cards per student. So both Shaylin and Grayson are going through all about spelling. but they each have their own set, even though this says do-a-dots. That's not do-a-dots anymore. It is all about spelling. So it's easier to have just one set of cards per student, I have found. If you have a great way to use one set of cards for multiple students, then definitely let me know how you do that, because my brain just could not make that work. This is kind of like my teacher's like command center. I just have a bunch of random things in there, nothing exciting. And then our extra all about spelling that we're not using this year. Some readers for lower levels. I think it's Magic, Treehouse. And then this is kind of where I have history stuff and more history stuff. So these are just, since we're not doing a formal history curriculum this year, I have just taken things like Story of the World and turned it into more of a read aloud. So we're reading from this. We're also kind of in the middle of learning all of our states and capitals. So we'll kind of read our 50 states or this book. This is really fun for the kids to just kind of look through. And then we incorporate a lot of YouTube videos. There's a lot of good songs for helping to memorize the states and capitals. And then we'll go through some books like this. Depending on kind of where we are in time in our history. Right now we're doing early American history, so we just got done with the Boston Tea Party. I think we are just finishing up the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So yeah, so that's been super fun. I've really enjoyed doing that. And I just kind of, I don't remember if I said this, we utilize YouTube a ton, or TED videos, TED Ed, when we can. That's a fun way. The kids have enjoyed learning that way. And then in this cubby over here, I have our science and art and once upon a time when we tried to learn Latin and realized we are not that kind of homeschoolers. Just maybe later. So right now for science, we are also doing read alouds. So we're using this book just as a read aloud. So I'll do history 2 days a week and then science 2 days a week. And we'll just flip through here and read a little chapter. I think we just finished, since our school year is really just taken off. We may have done the television. We may have finished with the radio. Anyway, it was really cool. They learned about Morse code and the telegraph and the printing press, and so that was, I feel like, something that every kid should learn. This is very basic. Really like it. Very easy to read for me. And then of course, Apologia. This is a really excellent program. Great information. So much, like just so much information that you really have to, you can't just sit down and read a whole chapter because there's so much to it. But it's really fantastic information, and God, I keep saying that, but I really, really like this. I can't wait to get into some other things, like they have astronomy that we're really looking forward to doing. So once we finish botany, we'll move on to astronomy and just kind of use that as a read aloud. And I have discovered I am not a science experiment person. So maybe like once in a while, if there's something special we want to do, we'll go ahead and do an experiment for that. But most of the time, it's read alouds and TED Ed. Keeping it real. This is where I store our math that we are not using for the current year. So I have all the math you see up until pre-algebra. So the kids will just kind of cycle through these as they get to them. And then just kind of some other stuff that we're not using this year. I might use some of the Rebekah. It's over here. I might use some of that for gray. We'll see. I haven't quite figured that out. And then of course, Confessions of a Homeschooler, Expedition Earth. That was really, really awesome. Super fun, kind of lap book style. Really great and well put together. We really enjoyed doing that. We did it a couple of years ago. And then the rest of this stuff is just like a mini library for the kids to kind of come and pick books out. Or like we go through the Little House books together. We use those as history read alouds. And then kind of like our Bible nook. And then I have a bookshelf over here that has a bunch of other curriculum that we are not using this year. A lot of spelling. This stuff, spelling workout, is really great for if you need a little spelling reinforcement that's very independent. I wouldn't use this as a standalone curriculum or explode the code. I feel like maybe you could if you do it better than I do, but I use it as a standalone, or not a standalone, as a fill-in. Yeah? Hold on just a sec. And then we tried Shirley English. Way too teacher intensive for me. I did that with Colin, I think, when he was in 5th grade. And that, you know, I also have other kids doing lower grades and toddlers. So Shirley English was not a good fit for us, but we really love first language lessons and writing with ease, and of course Story of the World. I really, that's like the first 4 years, 1st grade through 4th grade. This is kind of like my spine. This is what we go to, and I've been really happy with this. Very easy to teach, and good concepts, good concrete concepts, memorization. Just really love that. All right, let's go over here for a sec. So over here I have, when we were trying to do the crate system, this year we've kind of moved away from that just because we don't have a ton of printables. I think when we get to maybe like week 16, I have some old history worksheets from when we were doing my father's world that's left over that I've stuck in there, and I put all the kids' handwriting in here, but other than that, we don't really utilize that. Now underneath it, I have all of our, like our K4 and letter of the week stuff, and I do use this every week. It's from Confessions of a Homeschooler. It's her K4 or K5 program, and it's really great. Really colorful, fun stuff, lots of activities. Yeah, so that's kind of what we do for kindergarten / 1st grade. And letter of the week obviously would be preschool. So this is our alphabet tree. For those of you who are familiar with Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, that's how we do our letter of the week for Easton, or letter of the day for Grayson. And obviously we haven't hung all those up for Gray, but Easton's still going through it. And then here I have our hanging pockets. And I just used my Cricut and put all the kiddos' names on their pocket. More for me, I mean, they know where theirs is, but. So each kiddo is color coordinated or color coded. I just like to keep everybody has their own color. It just helps in my brain keep things organized. So they each have a pencil bag, a notebook, and either a folder or multiple folders. So Grayson will have a folder per day with all the work that he needs to do that day. And then the bigger kids just have a folder with all of their subjects. And I just put, if we have a lot of printables that week, I will put all the history papers for the week in these little, I don't know, tab dividers that have they have a pocket with them. So we were like, here's his math for next week. And you can see I just stuck all the worksheets that he's gonna do. Look at me, I was so ambitious and I printed them out instead of making him copy it in his little notebook. Yeah, so, oh, and then up here, this is where I keep any teacher's manuals that I'm gonna need. So I have K4, letter of the week, and then from A Farmhouse Full, I'm using her memory cards. I'm not exactly sure what they're called. Basically, it's just kind of like a sentence that the kids need to learn per week or per every 2 weeks. Just a good information that the kids need to learn. So like I said, right now we're going through the states and capitals. They also had on here like the Boston Tea Party. So this is just a sentence that I hang up on our bulletin board, and then I have the kids copy this on the whiteboard and then copy it into a folder or a spiral binder. Yeah, so let me show you kind of real quick. There's our whiteboard with all of our all about spelling tiles on it, and this is where I pin the card that the kids are working on for that week. So these are the states and capitals that they're learning this week. And then we'll try to find a YouTube video that has either something close to this or the song of all of them. And then maybe like a map activity that just has them fill in the ones that they're learning. So that's what we do for history. And then calendar time for the little guys. So Shay jumps in on this, but she knows all of this stuff. It's just more fun at this point. This is really for Grayson and Easton, and then Nate when he wants to do it. So I just have them put, they put up the day, then we say, you know, today is whatever, Monday, October 9th, 2017, and they point that out with a little pointer that I have, and that's just fun for them to do. So, yeah, that's pretty much a tour of our homeschool room. Thanks for coming along with me as I rambled on and showed you what we do. If you guys have any questions about what we use or how we use it or anything maybe I didn't talk about today, then feel free to send me a message or send a comment down below. Thanks, guys.